Curiosity kills the cat. It's a well-known adage, always reminding us that inquisitiveness may not always lead us to good things. Oftentimes, searching for discoveries is an extremely dangerous endeavor. Case in point, these 10 alarming discoveries you'll be glad you didn't make.
Amazing!
Number 10. The elephant's foot. There are some discoveries that are so terrible, they instantly spell doom to anyone who is unfortunate enough to bear witness to their spectacle. The Chernobyl accident of 1986 was perhaps one of the most infamous nuclear disasters that rocked people's opinions on nuclear energy. It's a well-known fact that first responders were some of its very first victims. However, there's another group who risked their lives in the discovery of yet another monster. A radioactive mass was left over from all the molten material that the fissile fuel had inevitably melted with its immense heat. This mass became famously known as the elephant's foot, as it resembles just that. At the time of its discovery, its radiation levels were measured at 10,000 roentgens per hour. A minute of exposure to it is a death sentence. 2 to 4 minutes would cause more vomiting, hemorrhages, and fever. A full 10 minutes and you only have 2 more days to live. Even now, after it has been deemed relatively safe to approach, the elephant's foot still radiates death simply by its mere presence, an eternal legacy of the catastrophe that gave its birth. Number 9. Corpses during urban exploration. Urban exploration can be both exciting and scary. Discovery is certainly one of its most inviting aspects, as there have been quite a number of uncovered things in these abandoned places that can be downright horrible. Such is the case of one urban exploration session at Memorial Mound by YouTuber Autopsy of Architecture. Officially designated as a funeral home, the place had been left to ruin since the early 2000s. It was reported to be a well-maintained facility when it was still in business. Since its abandonment, nearby residents have reported weird smells occasionally looming around the area, though nobody was able to identify the source until this discovery. One explorer who documented their visit reported that it was like stepping into a horror movie, with the musty odor of rotting bodies clearly visible through the caskets. The haunting scene in the abandoned chambers was enough to disturb any who dared to explore the site. Shortly after, authorities came in to finally resolve the dreaded mess that they have discovered. Today, Memorial Mound is officially closed to the public, but the alarming discovery of corpses will perhaps be a memory that those urban explorers will never forget. Number 8. The hairworm of nightmares. Terror comes in different shapes and forms. At times, it can come from something grotesque and absolutely terrifying. The Chordotes formosansis is a worm parasite that mainly infects praying mantises as its host. It starts as a microscopic larva, lodging itself within the host insect. Once inside, it starts to feed off the insect's insides until it grows big enough to escape the host. Then, like straight out of a horror sci-fi movie, it hijacks the host's brain, urging the poor insect to jump and meet its end at the nearest body of water. After the victim takes the plunge, the worm finally slithers out of the victim's dead, empty shell to produce even more of its kind. Once in a while, these parasites experience premature termination of their operation, either by the host's death or some other external factor. It complies by promptly leaving the empty husk of its host as soon as it can. What ensues is a visceral scene straight out of a nightmare, forever marring the sanity of those who discover such horrific sight. Number 7. Hidden freeloader. Have you ever experienced the feeling that you are not alone? Perhaps it would be wise to listen to such intuition once in a while, lest you experience the alarming revelation that you truly are not. It was a fine day during December 2008 when a family in Pennsylvania started noticing strange, unexplained noises that happened during certain parts of the day. At first, they dismissed the noises as that from their 2 pet cats, simply wandering around. But then, items began disappearing mysteriously, their food being consumed, cash being stolen, Christmas presents gone missing. In particular, 2 serious cases of robbery had been filed and reported on that very year's Christmas Day. Things turned to a head when they finally discovered footprints leading into the attic. At this point, the police were finally called. Upon investigation of the attic, they found a man named Stanley Carter wearing clothing items that belonged to the family. A search of the occupied attic afterwards led to the discovery of most of the missing items. The bizarre encounter with the hidden freeloader left a lasting impression on the entire family. To this day, the family now vigilantly investigate every single strange noise, in hopes that such an alarming discovery would never be made again. Number 6. Human feet at sea. A number of weird, bizarre discoveries have been made in oceans and high seas. However, nothing is as disturbing and unsettling as finding dismembered feet, all seemingly coming out of nowhere. Since the year 2007, a number of dismembered human feet kept washing ashore on British Columbia from the Salish Sea. The detached feet, which were already alarming enough, exhibited certain eerie characteristics that made the incidences even more puzzling. For instance, almost all of the feet found were right feet, and every single one wore some type of modern running shoe. No one knows for sure where exactly these mysterious dead feet came from, but there are a number of plausible theories. One explanation stems from the fact that corpses at sea can last longer without completely decomposing, and these feet became naturally detached from unrecovered bodies of various boat and plane accidents. Another is that the feet might be specifically from the victims of the devastating Asian tsunami of 2004, brought by ocean currents up north and towards western Canada. Regardless of origin, such festering running shoe-clad foot remains might not be the best of sights, should one suddenly wash up ashore on your morning beach jog. Number 5. Various mummified remains. Mummies and other preserved remains are for tombs and other ancient sarcophagi. They're certainly not something that you'd find on an afternoon chore routine, or on a weekend attic visit, or so you would think. On January 2007, a half-preserved corpse of an infant was discovered in a storage facility in Florida. The mummified baby was fitted inside a suitcase, wrapped in 1950s newspapers. It was found when a woman was searching for items within her deceased parents' belongings. Instead of personal memorabilia of your long-dead parents, the woman was completely shocked and unnerved to instead find a creepy, long-dead baby instead. Another similar case, this time possibly of regal origin, was discovered in an abandoned attic in 2008. Apparently, a tax collector owned a mummified head, which he bought for his collection and promptly forgot as it was thrown along other artifacts in his attic. As it turns out, the head is thought to be the decapitated head of the executed King Henry VI of France. Today, the identity of the head is still up for debate, but the huge surprise of the person that went to visit the tax collector's attic is highly unlikely to be ever forgotten. Number 4. Long dead beached whales. It certainly is a depressing sight to see a mighty whale's corpse. Perhaps it is even more curious than sorrowful, but watch out. Depending on how long the carcass has been there, you might be standing next to a ticking, icky time bomb. Any dead organism is subject to the same chemical processes that occur during decomposition. As this happens, gases build up from inside the body. Typically, these gases have outlets or openings where it can be released gradually. In whales, however, due to their thick blubber and skin, the gases simply continue building up inside. The gases then create huge pressure inside the carcass, much like an overblown balloon. I probably don't need to explain what happens further, but it'd be more than just an alarming discovery. If you need proof, just search around the internet for any of the highly spectacular and perhaps equally smelly compilations of these dead leviathans letting out their last bang. If anything, these ticking icky bombs will certainly give anyone a good lasting nasal impression. Number 3. Inserted needles in syringes. There is something intrinsically morbid about the discovery of sharp and prickly items where they shouldn't be. This is especially true when said items can cause instant harm to whoever is unfortunate enough to discover them first. In December 2011, a Burger King's fast food branch became the subject of controversy when a customer angrily complained that he accidentally swallowed needles hidden inside his burger. The needles had reportedly pierced through his tongue, and he is said to have been hospitalized for at least 6 days when another needle was found inside his small intestine. Needless to say, a federal lawsuit was filed for the case. In a slightly worse but similar case, entire syringes, instead of simple needles, were found hidden inside women's clothing at a Walmart store in Bartow County, Georgia. The reported incident was also documented in 2011, detailing the account of at least 2 women struck by the needles. Not only was the discovery itself very alarming, but the possibility that the victims might contract serious diseases with the hidden syringes made the incident far more disturbing than it should be. Were the 2 cases related? Given the vast distances between the 2 incidences, it is highly unlikely. Number 2. Donald Trump's hair. Okay, the president's hair isn't that bad, but there is something that looks just like it that is cause for concern. That thing is this peculiar caterpillar. The Trumpapillar, as some people like to refer to it as, is the young version of the flannel moth, native to the Peruvian Amazon area. Though it may seem fuzzy and soft, you definitely should not touch any part of its body. It is not actually fuzzy or soft. The nettle-like hairs actually cause a hard, prickly sensation when touched, irritating the skin. As you can see from this magnified image, the hairs have tinier, hard protrusions attached to it, which acts as very tiny needles that puncture the skin several thousand times over. In fact, just stay away from it completely. A strong breeze can easily send some of those rough hairs flying directly at any curious onlooker. So, as tempting as it may be to investigate Trump's animated wig, it's better to just leave it alone, lest you literally experience a startling discovery with it. If you made it this far, I'm going to bet you enjoyed this video, so why not subscribe? We upload amazing, fact-filled list videos daily. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll regret missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain. Now let's get back to it. Number 1. Bombs everywhere. Ultimately speaking, do you know what a really alarming discovery would be? That's right, anything that explodes. More specifically, military-grade explosives discovered in the most unexpected of places. One such case was from 2015 in Massachusetts, when grenades were discovered in a charity donation bin for clothing and toys. They were discovered during a firefighter response incident where the items were spotted in the bins. Analysis of the grenades showed that they were Vietnam War-era explosives, which means they were highly likely to have been accidentally set off if some kid happened to unfortunately mistake it as a toy. The second case was in 2016, when more than 50,000 people in the South Germany had to be evacuated after the discovery of a massive 1.8-ton World War II-era bomb. It was discovered, of all days, during Christmas, and it was decided that an area 1.5 kilometers from where the bomb was found had to be evacuated. Thankfully, the bomb was quickly defused after its discovery, and residents were allowed to return home that very same evening. Have you made a discovery that you wish you didn't make? Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching!